Welcome in, troops, to another episode of the Uncommon Podcast. This episode, I feel like I say this every single time, that I'm so excited about the guest, but it's genuine. It's genuine excitement. And when I bring on guests as well, like, they are pretty much the creme de la creme, the best of the best. So every single one of them has that bit of excitement about it. But you would have seen by the title, we brought on Eamon Heggarty, who runs 3 different businesses. I don't know if we'd be able to fit 3 different businesses into the title, to be fair, but he has Coorie Retreats, which are glamping pods out. When I unpack that a good amount, it's cool as fuck. A cleaning company and an SA company, service accommodation, and he's someone that we've worked with within the Uncommon for the last like 5 months, thereabouts. But known Eamon for a good amount of time. He's been linking up with Lawrence, who we've had a couple of episodes with as well, and yeah, this is one that I'm just so excited to just dive into, like, all these different facets, mate, and unpack. Anyone that doesn't know you, based off the things that I've touched on, obviously just like I'm touching on like in a broader business stuff, but what else should people know about you?
Yeah, I mean, where it all started, what I've been up to, but yeah, I started off living in Ireland, from Ireland, a wee place, a wee coastal town in Ireland. Very, very close actually to Scotland, only I think one of the closest points, funny enough, so now living over here. But started off there, went to a place, Newcastle University, Northumbria in fact, and became a quantity surveyor. My mum, I remember her telling me when I was like 17, Eamon, you need to go to uni, you need to get a job, you need to get a degree where you get a job at the end of it. And she said, what about a quantity surveyor? So went down that line, didn't really think about it, and then got the degree, went straight out to Dubai, had a placement year out there, through a friend's uncle, when I was 20, stayed there for a year, had a great time, thought this is where I want to be for the rest of my life, what a spot, buildings everywhere, quite surveying, match made in heaven. Then came back, finished the uni degree, went back out to Dubai straight away as soon as I could, and was there for about 3 years. Met my now wife out there the same day I landed, and stayed for 3 years, came to sunny Scotland, and was a QS here for 2 different firms, and just there in the last sort of 18 months, 2 years, went full-time business owner, and I haven't looked back since. But own Coorie Retreats, which is a luxury glamping site. It's got 2 geodomes, 4 cabins, a now wellness area, and 2 security guards called Angus and Winston, the Highland cows, and that's going great. Also got a cleaning company over in Belfast that does sort of specialise in service accommodation, with 2 other ladies that I met through the service accommodation space. I've got properties over there, and just got on really well. Came up with a great idea to have this cleaning company, and again, it's only about 6 months old, but it's going really well. Just opened up a laundrette. And the service accommodation side of things, started off with a wee property that I purchased in off plan down in Birmingham of all places when I was in Dubai at like 24, 25. Had a nightmare tenant that didn't pay rent for 13 months, so went down the Airbnb route because I think I'm never having someone stay on a property that I have ever again. And then that led me on to sort of service accommodation and this whole sort of full circle businesses that I've got, and yeah, that's the sort of roundup.
I mean, it's pretty mental though, mate, because 2 years in business, like we ran through numbers just before we hopped on, because Eamon's more than happy to share numbers, which makes it really easy to then unpack. Like Coorie Retreats does about 400k a year, cleaning company about 150k a year, SA company about 700k a year. Like, that's a pretty juicy stack in just a couple of years. So how, like, obviously you kind of spoke about how the SA side of things actually started, but when you actually fully dived into business, like, what did that look like?
Yeah, well, the SA started with that one property through a bad experience where I think a lot of businesses come out of, and people sort of find themselves coming out of bad experiences. And then I remember going to sleep for, like, as I say, 13 months, just thinking, how has this person got, well, like, one up on me? In a way, it was just like this, oh, I can't believe, like, she's not paying her rent. I was going down, she was promising the world. And it was just a disastrous time. I actually had to get, like, bailiffs and stuff. They essentially couldn't do anything because she just wouldn't pay. It was just refused, constant. So that led me down to, as I say, never wanting anyone on my property again. And it was my first property, only property at the time, and it was like my wee baby. And from then I thought I just want to take full control. Found out about service accommodation, Airbnbs. This was just after COVID, June 2021. I was still obviously in full-time work, so this was just a wee side hustle, and gave the property to a management company, and this management company only cared about getting about 60 or 70% occupancy. They didn't really vet the guests too much, and they, after their fees, it was like you weren't really making that much. So I thought I could probably do this a lot better. And then, even though it was from a distance, found a cleaner and set up the app Airbnb, and then just started running it from there, remotely from Glasgow, and it just sort of took off. Tried to add more properties. I have a split of owning them and landlords renting them off landlords with their consent, and then sort of trying to make my living out of that. And that's how we got up to the Airbnbs.
So how did you actually go about? So that first one obviously makes a lot of sense in terms of like foundationally getting a cleaner, putting out Airbnb, like doing the actual management side. Like how did you then go and start acquiring more properties?
It was more through traditional sort of Gumtree or speaking to estate agents who had landlords that were willing to rent them to you. A lot of people have this misconception that Airbnb is like, oh God, as soon as you have an Airbnb, there's going to be a mad party in it. People are going to kick the windows out and the place is going to be like damaged. But the realistic scenario is what always happens 99% of the time. Maybe that does happen, and I've got a few horror stories that have happened over the years, which we can get into if you want. But the Airbnb is cleaned every day or every other day. It's checked for any damages. If damages happen, guests pay for it, and it's like completely taken care of and on top of. And that's the sort of upside for landlords that have properties that are thinking they're on the fence, so they think it's a bad thing. But the cleaner is the eyes and ears of the whole operation. You need to have a good cleaner. If you don't have a good cleaner, I think the whole thing sort of fails, because they go in, they report what's missing, what's happened, and they'll report back to you, and then you can make a claim, or you can just expand your operation, and they need to be paid well to sort of keep them on board. Yeah,
because I think as well, like protocols wise, like working so closely with Lawrence, I've heard plenty of horror stories from his side, so I'm sure we'll unpack some of them. But like part of his protocol, for example, is the cleaners need to take a photo before they go in, and then after they go in, before they even touch anything, they submit those photos onto a specific system, and it's like religiously every single time that a clean's complete, and it's like, remember I asked him like what did it take for that to be the case, and he was like, oh mate, fucking sit down bro, and I'll tell you a million different million different stories. So like actually going to these landlords, or like running us through the kind of timeline of like, okay, from that first property to, I don't know, maybe like the middle point of like between now and back then, and then we can unpack as well like through at that point.
Yeah, well, the first property was around June, July 2021. And as I said, I was working full time at that time, and I wasn't really thinking, God, is this like where I'm going to expand, and this is where sort of the trajectory of my life's going. Then it was early 2022. I saved up enough money to buy a flat in the west end of Glasgow. It was a studio flat. It was on the market for 95 grand. Or 90 grand it was on the market for, and it was just after COVID, restrictions were starting to be lifted, and as soon as I spoke to him and says, what do you need to get this off the market? It said 105, which is 15 grand over sort of the home report, and then it was a wee tiny flat, and for the next 6 months sort of working full time with a laptop in the corner of the room whilst renovating it, like taking the kitchen out, putting it in the living room, all that, and then that was me solely going to have like an Airbnb, and that's the way it was set up. And then that was the second one. So I thought that was quite capital intensive, because you have to like put a deposit down, renovate it, do all this work for a smallish property, maybe a 30, 40 grand outlay. But the secret in the sort of, not industry, but in this sort of method is that you go to landlords, pay them £1,500 to £2,000 a month, in the hope that if you style it, put £5,000-6,000 into it, 8,000, you can make it like hotel standard, and then just put it on Airbnb-booking.com and run it as a hospitality business with a lot less upfront capital, albeit you don't own the property, but it's a sort of money-making machine. Yeah.
And hit like what point, so was it after that one in the West End that you went, like, why would I not just start exploring this other route?
Yeah, it was a bit like that, and then it was, I think I rented another one in Glasgow, and my cousin in Ireland was going to go out in Belfast with his missus, and said he couldn't find, and he's like, oh, I was going to go to Belfast, but I actually had to go to Dublin. I couldn't find anywhere to stay in Belfast. There was just nowhere to stay. It wasn't available. And if it was available, it was £300 or £400 a night. And I thought, Belfast, you're having like Belfast, like there's no way it's that priced at that. So I looked into that a bit more, and then seen that he was right. There's just such little stock in terms of service accommodation, hotels, in fact. And I thought, why don't I sort of try and just tap into that market, because it's just so understocked, and the demand's there from all across the world to visit Belfast. And then that's when I just sort of picked up property through landlords over there.
It's interesting because when I think about also having like Lawrence on, I think Lawrence spoke about it as well, like when he had the Nini initially, like part of his protocol was like he'd go to landlords and be like, I'll offer you 12 months rent up front right now to just let me run it up as an Airbnb. I'll also pay you above premium. I'm not just paying you for 12 months rent, I'll pay you 12 months premium rent. And landlords are like, who the fuck is this kid, man? Like, what the fuck? I think Lawrence was like 22, 23 maybe at the time. And just like believed massively in the model. And it's almost just exactly what you broke down. It's like going down, offering premium rent, and then in the hopes that you're making profit off the back end. What's the most you've made in a month from one property?
Good question. There's one in Belfast that I've rented. It's $2,000 a month. It's a 5-bed duplex penthouse. It was still pretty decent inside, but probably spent like $6,000, $7,000 doing it up, painting, massive sort of ceilings on it, so it cost a bit. But I think just there in August, obviously June, July, August, September is like your 4 months. January, February, you'd be happy enough to break even. But it was about $16,500 just from that one property with $2,000 rent. So it was pretty insane.
And where are most of those bookings coming from?
Mine is mostly from Airbnb. There is ones, I don't know why mine is more like geared towards Airbnb, but I've also got it on booking.com, and it's probably about 10% to 90%, 90% being Airbnb. And that's just maybe the way I've set it up. But I quite like Airbnb more than booking.com. I like the platform, I like the website, I like the app. And the customer service is a lot better. You might get slight more booking average on booking.com, but it's not worth it, I think, for the guests' communication and back end.
I think even as a consumer, the first thing I do is B&B.
Yeah.
Typically. Unless I know the place, and I'll just go direct booking to hopefully save some sort of fee. But I think even as a consumer, it's very natural to just like look that up on B&B.
Yeah. I think it's an age demographic thing as well. I think like older people would use booking.com for some reason. Booking.com is actually 5 times the size of Airbnb.
Wow.
But I think it's skewed in the numbers. That's the number they throw about. But I think because they have hotels on it as well, revenue wise is 5 times. But Airbnb, obviously, you don't have hotels. It's just like individual properties or unique experiences.
Interesting. So how many properties are you managing / have under the SA side of things?
I've got 13 under my company, and then I've got 2, 3 that I manage for sort of friends and family, but just as a favour. And that sort of just seems to work quite well in the sort of management side, because it's all, once you've got the systems in place, it's quite easy-ish to expand out and offer that sort of management. Yeah,
I've kind of seen that firsthand with Lawrence, to be fair, in terms of like obviously the whole the bigger park hotel in Edinburgh, ownership of that. But then once that was all initially set up and infrastructure was in place, it was like any management opportunity that was a park hotel level, it was like, why would they not take it on? The infrastructure's already there.
And it's easy, it's hard to say, but it's easy-ish money, because once you have the systems in place and AI can do a lot of FAQs and different sort of guest comms, as long as you can have that 5-star sort of response and the guest is always right attitude, then I think it's an easy enough bolt on to your sort of your business at the minute.
100%. So say, just walk me through the thought process of, okay, say you find another 3 units tomorrow. What is the process for getting them set up and ready to rock? And say it's like landlord, you're paying a landlord.
So what I would do is I try and do, my whole thing is I try and do absolutely everything hands off. So I'm only really focused on Belfast at the minute. And I'm now opening up an office in Helensburgh, which I'm going to try and focus on there, and the Argyll and Bute, west of Scotland, but that's in the future. But if it was in Belfast, I would have Mary or Denise, who's my business partners for the cleaning side of things. They would go and view properties for me, and now they've viewed more than probably 15 or 20 for me over the last sort of 18 months to 2 years. If they gave the green light and thought it was good enough, I would then speak to the landlord and say, my sort of new thing is sort of saying to the landlord, like, yeah, I'll pay your rent, but I want a 4 to 6 week rent-free period at the start, because I'm going to go in and renovate your property to a much higher standard, likely add value to the value of your property in the back end if I leave in 1 to 5 years time. So it's going to be a lot beneficial to him or her, and that's sort of my sort of sales pitch, let's say. And then, but in my mind, it's like, oh, I've got this property, I've got 6 weeks free, let's get it online before you even get the keys, let's get the bookings coming in, and then that sort of renovation period might already have been covered by the time I actually have to pay my first rent. So it's nearly like, I don't like the word no money in deals and all that nonsense, but it's like it's a sort of creative way to try and minimize your cash flow and your cash into it. Yeah.
How many like landlords are like very like, that's my property, I don't want you going in and change things?
Yeah, I mean, some do. Some are like, no, you can't paint the walls like green or blue or whatever. But some just not many. It depends what. Again, I think it's like an age thing. If they're like a lot older, no, it needs to be like yellow or white. But yeah, not many have pushed back. I've maybe just not found those ones. But I know it's a tricky conversation sometimes. But whenever they see the final product, I can show them other properties that I've done. They all sort of come on board and happy to do that. Yeah.
How much like above premium are you paying rent wise?
Typically, I don't really pay it above premium. I've never really sort of tried to. I know people do that, trying to say I'll give you 10% above. I just tell them what I can do, and I can lock in for like two years if they want, 5 years if they want. I just know the numbers. Unless the platform Airbnb or Booking.com shut down, I'll be in trouble. But I think because I do a lot of work in the back end to like look at the average daily rate in that location, how well other properties I've got maybe in that location have done, I just sort of have a very good gauge of how well that'll do. And I'll just tie into like a 3 year sort of contract with them, which gives them confidence they're getting X amount for 3 years, paid on time and no hassles.
What's the kind of like location like criteria, or like what do you look for?
I just love city centre stuff. I just think it's either twofold. It's like either city centre, or you either go out into the country with like a big massive house with a hot tub or something like that. I don't like anything in between that. That's me personally. And if it's city centre, my sort of new thing is getting like 4, 5, 6, 7 bedroom properties in the city centre that can accommodate like families, because if they come and pay £500 a night, but they're split between like 5 couples, it's only like £100 each, but they're getting like a massive property, a great location, and it works for them. And there's a lot more competition with like 1, 2, 3 bedrooms. So if you even go on to Airbnb.com, look at the listings with like five bedrooms or more, it's probably like 1% of like the whole sort of stock. So I like trying to go down that route at the minute.
Interesting, love that. So back to the kind of initial. So cleaner goes, views the properties, get the green light of some kind. I take it you'll find them first, obviously, and then you'll give them the location for them to go and view / check out. You'll then negotiate with the landlords, get the kind of 4 to 6 months, like a 4 to 6 week rent free periods. In that 4 to 6 weeks, you want to get it renovated, but you also want to get it live. And then, like in terms of like listings, is there any secret sauce on the listing side?
Probably the secret sauce that I'd say most people would do, maybe not so much years ago, is like a very, very good photographer to go in, and it has to be like immaculate photos, because that's what's selling each property is the photos, because people flick past, and you need something that's going to catch it. Bold colours if you can in certain rooms. If you've got an outdoor space, definitely try and put that in like the first 5 photos on the listing is like the first 5 anyone will really see, and they don't really go behind that. And then you want to also add like pricing software. So every 24 hours in about 2 or 3 in the morning, it would update the price based on hotels in the area. If there's like a concert, I know you're into Taylor Swift, so a Taylor Swift concert, or whatever in the future, it'll just spike the price because they know like the demand's there. So that's a very good sort of tech to add in.
Yeah.
And those sort of things together with a virtual assistant, if you can get one, trusted one, or you have your own, or you want to do it yourself, depending on how big you are. But you need those guest comms like on point, and automatic messages as well helps whenever somebody books. You send them an automatic message saying thanks for booking. I'll send you X details in certain amount of time.
So the guest comms on your side, they're handled by a VA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Ali from Pakistan, the king of Pakistan, I like to call him. He's a legend.
One of the goats.
Yeah.
He's in terms of like what he actually does for you, the hours he works, like what's the actual
I don't know how it's humanly possible, but he seems to work 24 hours a day, like every day. It's like it used to be one of my, like, when I was a night out, or one of my like like not tricks, but like you would text him and say to somebody, I guarantee he'll write back in like 10 seconds. And you would say, hi Ali, and he'd just write back in like 5 seconds. You go, how is that possible? Unless he is a bot or something. Like, I don't know. I haven't met him, so maybe he is. Yeah. But no, I'm on calls with him every week now, and he's like proper embedded in like everything I do. I think he's great. And he was actually considering moving to Scotland, so that would be quite cool if that happened. But we'll see how the future goes. But yeah, he's great.
It's so funny you say that. So like Ali Galloway, who's obviously in the private program, had him on the last podcast episode. Definitely check that out, troops, if you haven't already. Ali, I was out for dinner with Ali, and he was like, mate, it's fucking crazy, right? My VA messages me bang on 9 a.m. every day religiously with the same message, like, good morning, Ali, hope you're having a good day, or whatever. And he was like, never 8:59, never 9:01. And I was like, mate, she's probably just a bot. And his whole face, mate, was just like, oh no, I've not even thought about that. And I was like, mate, she could be, but like it sounds like she's not. But like just it was so funny just seeing his face where I was just like, mate, if it's bang on 9 a.m, it's probably like an automated message she's got ready. And he was like, fuck man, I thought she was just on it. Messaging me.
I thought he had the best one in the world.
Literally, bro. And then you've got this Ali who's
Mr. Ali, some man. But he's just I find him, because Coorie Retreats, when that was kicking off just over 2 years ago, I needed a website and went on to Fiverr.com, which and found this guy that developed websites, obviously fairly cheap, and he just got on like a house on fire, and he would sort of say, I can do this, I can do that, I can help you doing this, and he just nearly embedded himself in like the whole company, Coorie Retreats, and then off the back of that, he went into the service accommodation. Now he's in the cleaning company, so he's like, he's the man, and I couldn't do it without him.
It's so mad, mate, to be fair. I think like obviously a good few boys in the private program have all hired different VAs, and the VAs that they brought on is like truly life changing, like the impact that they can have. I mean, like Elliot, who I'm gonna get on the podcast at some point, like he's literally managed to train. He had one VA initially that he trained to like an impeccable standard that done most of the drop shipping for like on his behalf, while through him like managing and finding the products. And then they basically like the man, or basically anyways, it was like they wanted to bring on their couple, their partner as well. So Elliot's now just got like these two, just like this couple that just fucking go above and beyond in every way, shape or form. And when he was out in Thailand, he went and visited them, put them up in like an incredible hotel that was like £300 a night, and they were fucking like so grateful. But to the point that like afterwards, like the big, was it an earthquake or whatever that happened, and they were like, basically, I think it was Ali had told me as well, like his VA like literally turned off their phones over the weekend and their chargers and all that, because they had no electricity, to save charge for the Monday when they had to do work. So like, he turned it on, and like I think Ali had messaged them and was like, she turned it on and she was like, we've had this big earthquake, but like I've saved all this charge so I can work until X time today. And I was like, mate, take the fucking day off, man. Like it's all good. There's no stress. And Elliot and Sophie said the same. Sophie was like, the woman literally had a baby and like sent this big long message basically begging for 2 weeks off. And Sophie and Elliot were like, take proper maternity leave, like take the however long it should be in the UK. And I think she took 3 months, which was like, but even after that though, she was like, after like a month, she was like messaging Elliot and Sophie, asking to do things, even though it was unpaid. It's just mentally the difference, man.
And that's it. That's just going above and beyond and treating them like, you know, like they're here and they're part of the team, and just I'm sure that person will never. They'll stick around with him for a long, long time, and it's just that going above and beyond and just paying them well, just being nice, general people to them. Yeah, that's incredible. That's great.
What's the I was interested by, you said like do as minimal as possible / like hands off as possible. Why is that the case?
There's no reason to be hands on as possible in a way. If you can really set it up right and like trust people, probably trusting people is a big thing. Paying people well that they feel trusted, and giving them sort of the autonomy to do that. It's a lot of people probably find it quite hard to let go of certain things, and it's that's my baby or that's that. But really, other people love to have like responsibilities deep down. People love to say, "Oh, I can do that. I can take care of this." So, yeah, just trying to just be as hands off as possible, give people responsibilities, and it gives me more sort of time to think and pursue other business opportunities if I'm not in the nitty gritty of it, which is just what I love sort of to do. And it's just on site for like Coorie retreats, for example, they like do their own schedule. I don't say, right, oh, you need to work this day, that day. It's like, as long as the place is running fine, guests are coming, 5-star reviews are coming, yous are going to be paid great, and the team culture down there is great. It's just it's very, very good down there, and that was all just from like giving them responsibility to do as they please, to sort of see the business progress and do really well. How
did you develop that mindset?
Good question. I'm not actually too sure. Am I too lazy just to do it myself? Maybe so, but no, I just think people deserve to sort of be paid well and to have responsibility, because I know I like to have responsibility in my own way. And I used to hate in my old job, people like clock watching when you come in, and my old job at the end, it was pretty disastrous. But like if you're a minute late, you get pulled up on the big screen with like the time sheets of clocking in, clocking out, and it was like that big brother feeling is like it just gives me the absolute like ick, as you would say, people say. But I that's the opposite of what I want to be like. I want people to just like, if you want to make good in this world, like just go out and do it, and you've got the responsibility and the time to do it, and I'll sort of back you on that, you know.
Yep. Have you ever had anyone like take the piss with that?
Yeah, there was certain cleaners and certain teams that you know would like put their own hours down and stuff, but if you had to be checking the cameras and there was issues going in certain units, but I've spent 4 hours in that units, but then why is this not adding up? Certain things don't add up. You have to look into it. And then it's a part of, I heard somebody say, I can't remember, was it James Sinclair? Somebody said that hire slow, fire fast type of thing. And it's very hard to do that, to be fair. It sounds easy in the face of it, but like, especially when they're in the business for a year or so, and it's like, you try and manage it, but nothing's changing, and then you sort of have to let them go in a way. But it doesn't happen too often, to be fair. But I try and pass that sort of responsibility over as well, because that's not what I like to do. And so far so good recently.
It's interesting because I kind of ask that as almost like a loaded question, because majority of people out there struggle to let go / pass responsibility, and a lot of it's due to control, but a lot of it is due to like their inability to trust others. And it's interesting because like somebody will get fucked over once, and then that will be the reason that they never give responsibility again or pass control again. And then as a result, they end up stuck in the weeds. They can't grow, but they also develop like these really unsupported beliefs around whether or not they can hire or bring on the right person, or that they'll just be stuck there forever. So I just find it interesting that like, even though like shit things have happened and people have took the piss, like it's still not like your identity is identifying with that type of boss, that type of leader, and it's never really shifted, even if other people have took the piss.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it. It's like, as well, you don't know what's going on in other people's lives as well. Like, you don't know if they've had an absolute disastrous day, or they've had terrible news or something that might happen. Like, it happens to everyone in some capacity, that they're just not on the ball on certain days or times of the year, whatever. The only time I would really sort of put the foot down if it was like consistent or taking the piss, or like, you know, really disturbing the sort of the team that's there and creating a bad culture. So I'm just all about trying to just trust people as much as you can, and as long as the right systems are in place and the right pay and all that type of stuff, it's quite a nice thing to do, and feels great, and it gives me more time in life.
What are when you say right systems, right pay, like what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean the right systems. You're talking. It's hard. Like the business at the minute, it's a lot on WhatsApp, which I'm trying to get away from. Like there's lots of different channels, but everyone's more or less addicted to WhatsApp in the world at the minute, and it's hard not to think about running that without. But it's just at the minute it's WhatsApp, trying different channels, but it's just constant daily updates, and putting people below me that can sort of follow up with the teams that are in place. And then the pay wise, it's like the cleaners down at Coorie Retreats, like from day one, we done like £15 an hour, and they could choose their own hours. They could say, I can work Monday, Friday, Thursday. I can chop and change. You can say you're there 3.5 hours, 3 hours 45 minutes, whatever time you were. And it's not being that big brother looking down at you, saying like, oh, you only worked 3 hours 5 minutes and not 3 hours 15 or whatever. Again, it's just trusting people in the long grass. If there's a happy sort of site and team, a few pound go missing here or there is not a big deal. But yeah, that's how that's been.
I'd imagine like people would hear that and they would hear the impact that it could have / how good it sounds, but then maybe think like it would be complicated to install maybe like a process like that where people choose their days, they work when they want. There is like a set, like a minimum of what needs done, but almost like organising that seems like a bit of a challenge. I take it that's all managed through the system side of things.
Yeah, systems and sort of people. One of the sort of cleaning manager we have now at Coorie Retreats, she'd be the one that would take responsibility of that and speak to all the other cleaners and say, right guys, what do you want to work this week ahead of time? And then the systems would be like the cleaning. The booking system is linked to the cleaning app, and then everything, as you say, Lawrence used to do, or still probably does, is like take photos before and after, records everything, can then put in the notes if there's a maintenance issue. The maintenance team will have those notes and those apps, and then everything can sort of work cohesively. So it's sort of having someone that likes to have that responsibility to organise people, and again, that takes it off me, but gives people that freedom to work the way they want.
For sure. What's the one thing I'll circle as well? You say quite often the things that you like to do. What are the things that you like to do, and why is that so important to you? Yeah,
things I like to do is I used to love traveling before COVID. I was big into just traveling, going everywhere. But then had 2 kids, and that's what I like to do. I always cut about with them, try and go trips with them, and see how that goes. But sleepless nights, try and get sleep is also good. Good added bonus if you can work for yourself. But yeah, I like. I'm just not addicted to it at the minute. It's mad because at the minute I feel like I want to work more and more. And I know I've talked about like being hands off and having my own time, but it's like I'm in this exciting time where I'm like really just want to like get down to my new office and just like try and hammer out loads of different work and trying to like grow the business, acquire new sites, do all different types of things, which excites me. But I can head up to my house or go for a run at lunch and stuff like that, which it's just given that sort of autonomy now that I absolutely love.
What do you like? If you could just choose like to just like do 1 or 2 things every day, what would be those things?
In business terms or
in business terms?
Trying to get deals over the line, let's say. Quite like new properties for the service accommodation, new clients for the cleaning company, or a new glamping site, or new pods on the glamping site, or cabins or geodomes or whatever it's going to be. But things that are sort of high impact. That'll sort of push the business forward a lot quicker. I don't like the wee sort of minuscule tasks that like very organised people can do. I'm not ultra organised at all, but then as well, I've just employed my first full-time staff that I've put in the sort of group structure that I've got that own the businesses, and she's now down in the office with me, and she's amazing, which is just sort of life-changing, and that's why I'm probably quite happy and smiley at the minute. And that's helped a ton, and that was down to you guys actually. When I first joined, it was we sort of identified that quite quickly, and it was like I sort of sat for like a month just thinking I need to do this LinkedIn post, and I need to like put this out here, and I was like nervous, like really nervous about like, do I have enough work for it? I was like second guessing myself all the time, and then sort of put it out. I think I came on another call, and then you said, how's that development of getting the EA coming along? And I was thinking, yeah, it's sort of coming along, and I'm just sort of sitting there, but it sort of gave me that confidence to jump and go for it. I think I heard a wee quote, was it like, you look at the water, and you jump into this water and it's only actually like an inch deep and a mile long. So yeah, it's never as bad as it really feels and looks. So that's been life changing, more or less.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like Lauren speaks a lot about the concept of like your own unique genius, your own shit that you just like love. And it seems to be like those that are crushing it in like your space. That a common theme for me is that like they love getting deals over the line. They love the negotiating part of it, which I think like the more technical, like so say like I'm working with like marketing agencies, for example, like it's almost like they're much more like in the weeds of things / like thinking about bringing on team members and stuff like that, which I guess is like somewhat similar, but it's like you get to like a negotiating opportunity with like working with like a marketing agency client where like they have to negotiate a big deal or equity in another business that they could have a huge impact on, and it's like, it's funny because so many of them are very binary. It's like all or nothing. It either needs to be exactly the way I want it, or like this isn't going to happen at all. Whereas like working so closely with Lawrence is like he'll find any way, shape or form to make a deal happen, and he fucking loves it. Like if someone comes back to him and says like, nah, it doesn't work for me, he's like, class, let me like find another way. And it's almost like there's no fear of rejection. There's also no negative connotation around a no. And it's funny because like working with Lawrence, I was definitely very people pleaser heavy, and he challenged a lot of that because he was like, what are you actually worried about? If you ask someone and they say no, like do you think that's the be all end all? And I was just like, well, yeah, I guess. And he was like, mate, I get fucking rejected like 11, 12 times off one landlord. And he told me this story about this company as part of Danini that he phoned every week for, I think it was like 4 or 5 months. And it got to a point where the receptionist was like, stop fucking phoning. Like we are literally, I don't know what we need to do to stop you from phoning, but this is like ridiculous. And then Lawrence waited a couple of weeks, phoned again, and it just so happened there was a different receptionist on, and got through. And the contract that they signed was, I don't know if I can say like the exact number, but we're talking like over $500,000 a year in bookings. So like a humongous like corporate deal. And it just came from like this tenacity piece, which is like this dog that I don't know, a lot of people don't have.
I think that's so true. It's like it's the no's are just nearly as exciting as getting the yeses sometimes. It's just such a mindset thing as well. It's the chase, and it's sort of that yes will come eventually, but all these no's, I guess you always hear it that people learn from the no's, and then eventually you get a yes. But that's an incredible story. Just persistent, a dog with a bone. I think I was talking to you guys about before. And that's what I'm like as well. But if I was a dog with a bone, very organised dog with a bone, it's even better. So I'm hopefully becoming an organised dog with a bone at the minute.
Where do you think you've like developed that mindset to be like at peace with no's? I've not seen them as a good thing.
I mean, it's just natural. Like people get no's all the time. It's just uncommon or unreasonable to think that you're going to get a yes all the time. A no is maybe just not a no for now. Maybe it might be a yes in like 6 weeks, a year, 10 years, who knows? And it's just that sort of what's the worst that can happen sort of attitude. Do you know what I mean? Like really, what is the worst that can happen? And it builds sort of, I guess it builds character and whatnot, and you'll just learn a lot from it, which is true, and people say that. But people depends what you're asking for and what's going on. But you'll get there in the end, and the yeses will come. You know?
I thought your answer was going to be when you done the nightclubs for Chris Williamson.
Oh,
in Newcastle.
Oh God, the Flyers up in Jasmine. Jeez, that was some time. There was plenty of no's there actually. I stand outside of Tesco, giving out flyers to go to his nightclubs and stuff. That's probably the most no's you'll ever get in your life.
Yeah, like either that or like those ones that like stand in the middle of the town centre, try to like stop you in some way, shape or form. I think that's probably
sign up to this charity for something, or sign up to some sort of, I don't know, scheme. But I mean, you're thick skinned. That's it. It's university. Try and get a job at uni, and then that's what you end up with during it. It's mad.
Yeah. What would be your advice to maybe like an entrepreneur that feels maybe stuck in the weeds and they're not doing the things that they love to do, but maybe they feel like they can't hire, or they feel like they can't see the woods for the trees?
Yeah, I mean, if you're stuck in the woods, even like if it's like somebody working, because I always had this thing, like when I worked 9 to 5, I was quite a surveyor. I was quite a surveyor for nearly 10 years, but that whole time I sort of knew that I wanted to get out of that, and you just have to keep thinking that you can, like keep working towards it, and learn as much as you can, consume as much content as you can in terms of like education, if in that sort of sector or field that you're in. Try obviously to save as much as you can, to use a certain money as leverage to do what you can do, depending on what it is. But I just delay your gratification in terms of like, don't go out, spend your money on like silly things when you don't have it. Just like find it a bit of a flex to like have a $2,000 car, or like not wear a Rolex and stuff, and like use your money to like progress yourself in the future. And it's all about like delayed gratification in terms of like, I want to like retire, let's say at like 40, but like I don't think I'll ever retire because I love like what I'm doing now. I never thought I'd say that, but like I absolutely love it. And it's like I just try and not go down that slippy slope of like what you can see on Instagram and TikTok and all that people say. But yeah. Yep.
I mean, it makes sense for sure. Like from your answer, I'm getting the impression that like almost from the very beginning you try to offload as much as possible and just get you just doing the shit that you enjoyed. Was that actually the case, or did you have to do a lot of shit that you didn't enjoy for a while?
No, definitely had to do a lot of the crap at the start. I guess like Coorie Treats, for example, it's a site that I bought with a business partner at the time for 25 grand, a piece of land, 2.5 acres. In the middle of sort of nowhere, not a very touristy place, Stranraer, Port Patrick, and it was figuring out from the ground up how to build this sort of hospitality business. There was no services, no water, no electricity, and it was a big risk, but it was like obsessing over it. That's probably the big thing. You need to obsess over it and really get in the weeds of it, and just think that it's going to pay off and just keep working towards that. And that was nearly 3 years ago. Put in the planning application, it got approved on the 28th of April. Was it 2023? And then like 6 months of just relentless, just down on site between working full time to then just get it where it was. So the best thing is like actually doing that like now, because now I know the absolute ins and outs of everything from the ground up to like putting it online, to getting guests, to the guest comms, everything. And then now that's sort of, I'm in a position now I feel like I can maybe acquire a site that's already established and then sprinkle a bit of the Coorie sort of dust over it and see how that goes.
How many like snags happened within that 6 month process?
I remember we, because it was like 6 units, the smartest thing probably would do is maybe like build 2, like perfect the 2, and then maybe in a year's time get another 2, and then another year's get another 2. But it was like, no, we'll just do all 6, go crazy at it. Awful idea, because nearly ran out of money like 3 times, but somehow got it over the line. The only reason we did get over the line was because like the first unit was being like built, like unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once unit 1 was more or less like warm, you could turn the heating on. We were like, all right, let's get this online, let's get people in, and they were nearly going through a construction site to get to it, which probably wasn't the best for guest comms and again, anything like that. We even had ran off a generator because we hadn't the electricity in at the time. We had this like, it was terrible to say, but like eco-friendly tourists, and there's a generator up the road powering it. But I had to just do that to sort of survive at the time, because I was running out of money pretty rapid. And that, just because we were so like, we're just starting, this is our first sort of site. Anyone that came, we were just like, any issues, oh here, take a bottle of the project, oh here, John, like just trying to give them like as much as we could to keep them as sweet as possible, because we knew like reviews are the best thing, the highest leverage in sort of hospitality. And once we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units up and running, it was tough, but we got over the line.
See the times where you ran out of money, like what was the What was the thought process like? Can you take me back to like a day where you thought you were going to run out of money and it was like pretty dead cert, and then you just came at the other end?
Yeah, I mean, it was more you're running out of money, looking at the sort of cash flow, and then you've got subcontractors to pay, and like you have to pay them like a week or two, and then you're trying to ask for them, oh, can I delay that for 4 weeks? I might have like a tax rebate coming. Remember, it was like a VAT rebate coming on it because we spent so much, and it was like a 30 grand or 35 grand VAT rebate, but that rebate was going to pay our like subcontractors. So it was like, can I just delay a couple of weeks so this rebate's coming and stuff? So it was literally like touch and go the whole way. And then because put it online so early, we got the bookings up front, and then those bookings for the future could sort of pay some of the materials for the next build and so on and so forth. So it really was like a balancing act up until like the last unit went in. And actually we had to get more like loans, like high leverage loans. So it wasn't like it was pretty hefty, and just it had to make it work type of thing. Was probably the main thing that came from it. Like it had to be the best product that'll stand the test of time, that people are going to come back to all the time.
What was was there any moments where like you went home to the wife and you were like, I've fucked it here, man. I don't know if I should have done this.
I mean, I lived in Finiston at the time, and then moved to just outside a place called Helensburgh, and that was still going on at the time. That transition to a new house, it also needed renovated, so it felt I was in a construction site for like a year. But I mean, I was driving 2.5 hours down to meet guys on site for 10 minutes to drive back up the road, and pods getting delivered to come in, and the crane couldn't get the pods in, so we had to like get tractors from the farmers and stuff. Oh, it was just crazy. And then driving back up the road at like 9 at night to then go to bed, to wake up, to go to my work, to then we drive down at the weekends and stuff. So that's it. You just had to like believe in it and just like get through the hard times to then come out the other end. So there was plenty of times when I think, what am I doing here? Like, are people actually going to turn up and like stay in these units? But the main thing was just trying to make the units as good as humanly possible with the best materials. And so far, the reviews are incredible with returning guests, and it's all socials are blowing up, organic and everything.
I mean, me and Bex tried to book in, mate, and it was like fucking many weeks in advance that I was like, mate, fucking hats off to him, man. He's fucking smashing it. Because I think when you go on even like the website, the Instagram especially, I'm intrigued to like unpack that kind of like social strategy, because you've built like a really good fucking following on there as well. You also said, I think, like, what, 90% of your bookings are direct for Coorie retreats?
95, yeah.
95, like,
yeah.
It's almost like unheard of. I remember Lawrence being like, you made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to admit, I've made a mistake. So how did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, the socials, I think I started socials just while we're in the middle of the construction, and I just fired up Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I just, while sitting in my office as a QS, I was like obviously going down, taking the content, and then going back to the office and trying to put it together, and as a cap cut and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then I just tried to like grow that as quickly as possible. And it was just things I thought people would like. Do you know, like the construction process I thought would be a good idea, but it wasn't really, because people are bored with that. People like to see the finished product.
Yep.
But when you have the design of each unit totally different, it gives me a lot more like marketing material, and that's my whole thing, is like trying to make things as unique and different on site, all for marketing material, obviously for guest experience. But once I sort of ran Instagram up to about 10,000 followers, then I sort of felt it took up so much of the time. I sort of passed it on to an agency to run, which we went through a couple of them, but now we're in a good place. And the biggest way sort of to grow your Instagram following is twofold, the way I see it. 3 maybe. One is sort of obviously the user generated stuff down on site, and obviously have a really good product, which is part and parcel of it. But influencers is a big thing now, obviously, always has been really. But get them down. Sort of proud to say never paid an influencer to come on stage, just a free stage. They're happy enough with that. And we've got a couple of big people staying, I think the start of December, that they might record their own podcast down at Coorie retreats with the cows in the background and all. And then giveaways is another one. People, like run that up as much as you can, but not too much, because really people that might follow the giveaway only want a free stay. They don't want to pay the money to stay. So it's maybe convincing them over time that, you know, you followed us off the back of this, got their data, and then come market to them. So that's how that runs now.
It's interesting because like the whole, you spoke so much about like guest experience, making it as incredible as possible. Like why, like where did you develop that? Why is that important to you?
Don't know. I mean, it's like I always thought, like, what would I like to come down and see? I mean, Airbnb is 10 years ago used to be, maybe 10, 12 years ago used to be literally somebody's room in their house, and you could rent that out, no problem, no questions asked, 5-star. Now Airbnb is like, you need to be a 5-star hotel at a minimum, or else you're getting slated. And cabins are sort of going that same way. There's cabins out there that are just wee pods, and they're quite, they fit the bill, but now you have to have like a cabin that's like interior designed. You have to have hot tubs, you have to have barbecue fire pits. Like we've got like this little, in each cabin there's an amazing like sort of kitchen with a Belfast sink, like stuff like people don't even have in their houses, like as a high spec in this cabin. And I just think if it's as good as it can be, then people will come back, and it looks good on socials and good reviews. Yeah.
I think status/socials is a really interesting perspective, because I think like people, you don't have to think about like Bex. Like the first thing when we were on the website, Bex was like, fucking hell, that looks incredible on that bit, or there's a projector that goes onto the wall. I imagine like they would take some photos of that. Like it is a genuine like reoccurring thought for so many people now in terms of like content, which is super interesting. Obviously I follow on the page as well, the amount of like user generated content is insane through people. Must be influencers obviously collaborating with the page, which I think is a huge thing that Instagram's implemented. That's fucking class, where you just collaborate. But yeah, like the amount of content that's used posting, it's not even used, it's other people being like, come with me while I stayed at Coorie retreats, or like some sort of angle like that. The 2 Highland cows is an interesting story as well.
Yeah, the Highland cows. I love them. But they came off the back of sort of a marketing lady that we used previously and don't use her anymore. But she said about Highland cows is the most searched term when people come to Scotland. And then it was just like a light bulb moment that I had, that like, why don't we get Highland cows? Like why have we not got Highland cows in this like section of land that we had that was free, and it was just like an empty piece of land right in front of the cabins. And then my business partner was like, oh no, you're crazy, absolutely not. And she was like, that's not a bad idea. And then maybe like 6 months later, I was like, nah, I'm putting the foot down. We're getting Highland cows. Let's get a fence put in. Let's build them a house. Let's do giveaways to name them. Let's do like everything like this. And then people are stopping their cars at the side of the road, coming over, trying to feed them. They're the sort of star of the shows at the minute. People just love them. And then we just give any guest that comes, just include it in the booking as like cow feed and a brush and stuff like that, and you can go up and brush them stuff. But they're very, very friendly now. They're like dogs. They'll come up to you like like nearly wagging their tails. It's so cool. And then sort of off the back of that, it's built the wellness area, which is sort of to do really well. And I think that's where all hospitality's going and should go, because that's what everyone's wanting. Yeah,
I mean when I'm booking anything, it's the first thought is like, well, there's a hot tub's like almost like the minimum standard now, whereas it used to be a bit of a luxury, whereas now it's like, how can I properly reset and recharge here? Like, what's the spa like? Is those sort of opportunities available? And I think you're almost like you've evolved with the times, I think, with something like that for sure. It's funny when you say about the cows, because me and Bex had drove up north like last month, and as we were driving up north, there was like these 3 Highland cows that were in this one, and mate, I'm going like 60 on this back road, and Beck's like, stop the car, and I'm like, I fucking can't, I've got fucking cars behind me. If I just stopped a stop, she's like, we'll need to go back around, and I'm like, well, we're going for food, we'll be driving back this way. So okay, that's fair enough. The whole drive back, she's like, whereabouts was it again? And I'm like, that's fucking mad, it's just some cows.
It's incredible. It's like, that's it. It's sort of the data in the background to do that, but like realistically, everyone just for whatever reason loves to look at Highland cows. Yeah. Even like Visit Scotland, which is like the official Scotland page, their photo is a Highland cow. It's just like they've obviously realised like that's why people come to Scotland. I'll put my profile photo as a Highland cow, and they've got like 2 million followers. But the cows are a big pull for Coorie retreats, and then I'm opening up a shop at the. Well, I've put plans in to open up a shop and I'm going to do like Coorie Treats merch, but like Highland Cow merch and stuff like that as well, which I'd love to do and I've always wanted to do. It'll be like, again, a hands off, no staff. It'll just be like you go in, scan QR codes, all that type of stuff. But I'm excited, hopefully, to have that through planning and just before summer and get that in there.
It's interesting, man, because we went to like Pit Lockery, somewhere like that, and we went to town, and the one shop that was absolutely heaving was the shop that was basically just like gifts. It was just packed through Highland cows, mate. That's what it was. And it was heaving, man. We're talking like you couldn't actually get moving round the shop. Like it was just fucking mental. And the guy that was running it was quite funny as well. He was like full of patter and all that and engaging, which I guess helps a shit ton. I'm curious because you mentioned AI earlier on. Like, how are you utilising AI just now?
Yeah, AI. Oh, it's incredible. Obviously, everyone's getting into it now, and I don't like using it as much as I actually did at the start, but I like looking at the tech and the platforms that can sort of benefit the FAQs or like the guest comms. That is quite basic stuff. So I'm trying to implement like a system that responds to basic guest comms, comes back to a real person if I can't answer it. There was a system that I was looking at that's like a social media platform, Blaze AI that I talked to you about before, and it seems quite incredible. But again, it needs someone, I think, in the back end to work it. And that's something I don't really want to do or like to do, but maybe in the future implement that where you can like spread your content over all platforms, have it scheduled in, really organized, and it can prompt you in like what's working, what's not, what words are and what's not. But at the minute it's not that heavy on AI, but it's trying to. There's so much out there. It's quite hard to like wade through all the AI like websites and platforms and get the right one.
But that's also the joys of like being in the private program with like Andrew and all that, because they keep they're ahead of all that shit, so they'll let us know when shit is really like squeaky bum time we should be utilising this stuff. It's interesting because it's the same like Lawrence is heavily, he loves that shit, so it's like part of Lawrence coming in when he became co-owner of the Uncommon was like all these different like softwares and different elements of AI that he was utilising. It was just like instantly implemented in some way, shape or form, which is super interesting. So we haven't really spoke much about like the cleaning company. What was, obviously you said it's been running for 6 months, or are they looking to be doing like 150k a year? Like, how did you get that off the ground? What was that like?
Yeah, that's with two business partners, Mary and Denise, who when I first got one property in Belfast, I found they had a job advert for cleaning, and I met up with them, spoke to them, said, I've got one property here, can we clean it? And they were like, yep. But their attitude and just them as people is just, we just got on like a house on fire. And then the more properties I got, sort of better they got, they would do anything. And then they started maybe getting a couple other customers, but they didn't really know much about business, didn't really know about systems, didn't really know about like accountants, tax and all that type of stuff. And I thought like, why don't we sort of combine like all our knowledge, use our like feet on the ground, know the market, use are great, you can employ other cleaners, and I'll do all sort of back end stuff business wise and run it from there. And then it was just an idea in January, and then I think March we sort of set it all up, and it's slowly grown, but off the back of that we've opened up like a laundrette, which was small. We moved to a bigger one, got like commercial tumble dryers and stuff in it now, and then just really trying to like push that as hard as we can. And I'm actually going over in a couple of days just to see all that and meet them again and speak through it. But I think it's a great bolt on, because let's say service accommodation specialist is what we're trying to sort of come at people as what we do. You have a property, you want it cleaned, no problem. You want linen, now we can offer you the linen because we've opened up a laundrette. And you want consumables, like people always say to give like a package when people come and stay in an Airbnb, like local crisps, chocolate, drinks, Sainsbury, whatever. You could add that on, and then you can now manage it through Access Clean. So there's this like whole life cycle now that I've incorporated into the company, where it's nearly like the hook is like, oh yeah, I can clean your property for you, no problem. This is the price. Oh, do you want the linen too? And then, oh, do you want it managed to see your bookings aren't that good? I can do X, Y, and Z. Here's what I've done before. And then before you know it, starting to signed up 4 different properties at the start of this month, potentially signing up a guy that's got 80 properties.
80.
80. Sorry, that was for the linen. He manages 80. That's for the linen. So he's wanting the full linen hire. And then there's a few other opportunities they're floating about, which is quite exciting. But once that gets mastered, systemized, it's just going to be an absolute animal, I think. And then I just think it's so good once that whole sort of, you can do the full life cycle of any sort of service accommodation property.
What's the also, because that's quite a new venture, like what's been like the biggest lesson in the first like 6 months?
Yeah, it's probably expanding too quickly with cleaners, because again, as I said at the start, eyes and ears, the whole operation. And if you don't have trusted cleaners, because Mary and Denise were my trusted cleaners, but now we're expanding, getting other girls to work, and it's sort of training them to know, like, you need to go around, and if there's the hair on the floor there, you need to like make sure it's not there. Do you know, like wee things, wee touches, the quality needs to be there. So it's that sort of expansion and things slipping. And needing to let people go, like bring better people in, and it's that sort of constant trying to manage that. And then trying to just keep on top of guests, trying to make it more of a business as well. Like at the minute, it's not very much like a, oh, here's that's us cleaning the cleaning company. It's very professional and stuff. It's just like, oh, yeah, we've got a cleaning company, we'll come do it. We'll try and do our best type of thing. But it's like getting contracts in place now. Like this is what you want to see. I would love to like have like reports of like how their property's done, the cleaning, and how we can optimize it. Like just make it a lot more like business orientated and make it a lot more professional, sort of where it's wanting to go. Yeah, with like proper like expectations of like an unreasonable hospitality level like service. Whereas just now it probably feels like a, not like it necessarily a tick box, but it's like we're showing up, we're getting the job done, clients are happy because speed and the overall quality is decent, but you want to make it kind of what you've done with Coorie retreats with like all these bolt-ons that are all like, what are people really paying for? They're paying for somewhere off-site, away, like in nature, with like a nice fucking like area to stay in, a nice pod or whatever. Like if I'm thinking about like booking it for myself, they're the main things that I'm thinking about. But then when I see the like the gift packages you've got, the options to book, the options to have like meats there for when you arrive, the pizza base thing to like be arrived so you can make your own pizza, bake your own pizza, or there's a projector or the hot tubs there, like it's kind of like an expectation, like I said, but like all these added things are like, they are actual what make this like the cream on top, but you're genuinely like buzzing about them. Whereas you go from like, this is going to be class, to like, this is going to be fucking class. And you start telling everyone about it, and it is those wee things that do it. It is, it's adding those on, and it's just it's just one thing adding them on, it's one thing like executing them as well. It's like, oh, I could like Coorie treats, for example, it's like adding, oh, let's add a pizza package, like great. Somebody comes up and says, oh, actually I forgot to add that on. Can I add the pizza package on just now when I'm checking in? I'm checking out tomorrow. I'm only here for a day. It's like, oh, well, no, because like the pizza's frozen in the freezer, takes probably like 8 hours to defrost, and there's all like these teething issues. But again, it's just like working through stuff like that. And even like the wellness spa that opened up, it was like, I think I've created the first sort of salt flotation bath, outdoor salt flotation bath in Scotland, maybe the UK. I don't know anyone that's done it at the minute, but it's had its own teething issues because we've bought this big heater, let's call it, like a hot tub, but it's an external one. It's 3 times the size. And then we built a salt flotation bath, 2 meters by 2 meters. 2 people can lie in it. You put like 350 kg of salt into this bath. It's about 50 centimeters deep, and then you just like float there and float about in this Epsom salts. And it was like, again, that was like a challenge, something never done before type of thing. And it's just sort of coming up with these ideas, but executing them too is part and parcel of it. And that was, again, it's just all about execution now. So many people would hear that though, and they think about like, one, the hassle, maybe the complication that adds to the business, but then also the cost is most likely where people would go. Like, why is that not a concern for you? Let me think about the cost of these things. I don't know. I just always think of like the cost is sort of in the short term. Let's think about it long term, because that once that's built, that'll generate marketing material, that'll generate bookings that I might not even know people might have booked only because of that spa.
Yep.
Even though the spa's an addition for like 50 quid an hour type of thing, private. I always think of like the future of how that's going to play out. And yeah, I think the cost up front, obviously you have to come up with either have the cost there, get a loan, whatever it takes. But I always think of the how long it's going to be until that, not really till it's paid back, but like how long that'll last in motion.
Yeah, because I think reading Unreasonable Hospitality, there's part in that book where Dalriada speaks about redefining the bottom line in terms of like these things that we are paying for that is going above and beyond. Like he spoke about, I think at like Madison Square, it was they allocated like 5% of their total revenue to like gifts and like the Dreamweaver and making sure that people had this incredible experience. And it was almost like, really, man, you're going to take 5% of your total revenue. Say you're making, okay, a million, that's 50 grand a year you're just going to spend on just gifts and like just going above and beyond. You're going to employ someone and their sole role is to get gifts and gift gifts and make them hyper personalized. It's like some people hear that and they're just like, oh, fuck off, I'm just not doing that. Whereas like truly redefining the fact that, like you said, they have that experience, they're going to share, it's a shareable experience, they're going to talk about it to other people, which is then they're going to create a recurring booking for themselves because they're going to come back because it was that good, or at least someone else is going to go, fucking that sounds amazing, why would I not do that? Now there's that multiplication there for literally what appears to them as 5%, like on the bottom line is 5%, but that 5% is almost like doubling the amount of, whether it's recurring bookings or new people finding out about it. It's a shareable experience, which I think is incredible. Yeah,
100%, and what a book as well. Even off the back of that book, which you told me to read, which I have, I'm trying to implement in career retreats like they do it in the Unreasonable Hospitality, that they would go and wash people's car whilst they're in having dinner. I'm trying to sort of implement that on site, so when people are in their cabins, like we can go wash their car, leave a wee career retreats like air freshener, QR code in the back for a discounted stay at the end with a wee like Highland cow logo or something like that. And yeah, even in instances when like somebody says, oh, I'm going to propose to like my missus, is there anything you can do? And we was like, yeah, no problem, we'll just like set this whole place up, get will you marry me balloons, do all this type of stuff. Just as a off the back, our own back type of thing. Because yeah, I mean, what a special moment, like coming to my site to propose to your future wife is incredible. It's like, yeah, I just think it's so cool.
I think one of the things I love about the book is when it reframes the quality of a gift is not luxury, it's thoughtfulness. And I think as well, like tie that thoughtfulness with like, see when you just over deliver on expectations, like when me and Bex were going to book, it was like, oh fucking hell, we just add the spa on there. Oh wait, we can like have all this food ready for us like arriving. We don't need to stop somewhere on the way. We don't need to find like X and Y. I already knew as well from like working with you, like the hamper that was there when we initially arrived, the stuff with the Highland cows, like I already knew that stuff, so my expectations were like, I already know that's going to be there. But telling Bex about it ahead of time and like hearing how buzzing she was about it, it's like I could just imagine someone that's maybe just stayed at a random glamping pod one time and thought like, that looks fucking class, like let's give it a go, and you just blow them out the water. I can just imagine like the overall impact, not just in terms of the expectations just being blown out the water, but also like you add in these like little thoughtful components that are washing people's cars and making their life easier and over delivering on the hamper when it arrives. It's just like a serious compound effect that it's exciting, man.
Yeah. I mean, and it sort of came naturally as well. I don't know. It's like I like the whole, that even driving down the road, not that I wish it wasn't, but it's a wee bit like, oh God, like what are we getting ourselves into? A few potholes here or there. It's an old road. But then when you pull up to the cabin and you go in, it's sort of, you're blown away. So like from the face off when you're coming in, it's like, oh, what have we got ourselves into? But then it's like that whole expectations changed. And even like, yeah, as I say, the hampers that we don't tell anyone that we're given, or the cow feed and stuff, we don't really promote that or say, oh, your booking is including this. We just give it as an extra. And I think that's where the reviews are so good.
Yeah.
And why it's 95% sort of booked out organically. Yeah.
It's interesting though, because you think about like the base level of like, say like human psychology, and it's like you're going somewhere like you have, I don't like, I'm probably a bit different to Bex, but I'm like, until I arrive there, I'm not necessarily excited. Like I'm looking forward to the thing. I'm not like pure bubbling with excitement. If I'm coming down that road and there's potholes and I'm like, oh fuck, it drops below baseline, I start to be worried. I start to go, oh fuck man, like what have I done? I've spent X amount on this weekend, and like Bex is looking at me like, what are we getting ourselves into? It drops me below baseline, and then I'm in a little bit of pain then mentally at that point. I then get there and it blows it out of the water, but it doesn't only blow it out of the water based on like where my baseline was. I've dipped below my baseline to like now worrying about whether or not this is going to be good, and then you fucking blow it out of the water up here. So the gap is actually bigger through that initial like shit.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Get people who like signs saying, don't visit Coorie Retreats at the entrance, and they get down and it's like, whoa, this was unreal.
Oh, that's cool as fuck. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Obviously you've had some changes with Coorie Retreats as well.
Yep. Yeah. There's me and my business partner with he's moved abroad, so there's things going on in the background that we might be a buyout there in the future. See how that goes. But I just love the brand, love the way it's set up, love everything about it, the Highland cows and everything. And my big goal now and aim for sort of this year, next year, is to obviously add more units at Coorie Retreats Port Patrick, but acquire another site and sort of sprinkle that sort of Coorie dust and sort of steer my own ship and bring that brand sort of as high as possible, like a Hilton, for example, but obviously a glamping style is the way I want to sort of position that brand, Coorie Retreats. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Is there any, besides the things that you've touched on, like that Coorie dust, like what, I guess a good question probably to finish on is like, what is that Coorie dust? What's that actual?
Yeah, it's a great question. What is the Coorie dust? I think it's a combination of sort of everything that's unfolded over the last 2 years. Like obviously the Highland cows being theirs is something that I don't know many others that are doing, if any. The wellness spa is totally unique in glamping. I think there's one place in Ireland that does something fairly similar, but it's not like enclosed. It's like a walkthrough experience. So it's just trying to find these things that, to me, it's just all about things that I love and like what I think will be very, very cool and what is just an experience. Everything's so experience-led nowadays. It's like you want to go home and like tell people like, God, I was at this place, like what a time. And it's like, this is why I don't think like wee cabins without hot tubs or wee cabins just sitting on their own are going to last. You have to really like go above and beyond. And that's sort of the Coorie dust is like having people come to site, and my goal is then people, if they're there even for 3 days, to literally not leave that site. I'll have food for them, I'll have drinks for them, I'll have a sauna, spa, wellness, everything, and they can watch TV in their hot tub, they can watch Amazon Prime, whatever it is, and just make it the best sort of downtime they can have. And yeah, I would just love to try and keep that going, but also come up with more fresh things in the industry, and sort of trying to be like a leader in that in glamping is what I'm aiming towards.
So interesting, because what just sparked in front of mind for me was like, you know, Elliot pretty well now being within the group. Elliot loves a profound question, and one of the questions he asked me was, who's someone you would hate to come into your industry that you'd have to compete with? And I'm almost like thinking on your end, like, fuck being in the glamping pod sites against you, mate. Like actually, like the willingness for you to go above and beyond. Like I can imagine probably a good few competitors maybe thinking about getting into space that maybe listen to this as well as seeing it being posted on LinkedIn or something like that, and they're sitting thinking like, fuck's sake, man. Like how am I meant to compete with?
That's the
like,
highest compliment.
It's serious, bro.
That's unreal.
Yeah, I mean just your willingness to go above and beyond, mate, and the fact that it's built on like your love of the game and like love of like leaning into what you enjoy. It's like, how can you actually compete with that? Like if you're just doing it as a business, there's like those like foundational components that just aren't quite there, that are there for you, that you just like fucking love it. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on, bro. In terms of people finding you, where can they find you?
Yeah, check me out, LinkedIn, Eamon Heggarty, and Coorie Retreats is obviously there, so come follow Coorie Retreats. Drop me a wee DM. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, LinkedIn and Coorie Treats, best two places to get me.
When they get a wee uncommon code or something like that.
Yeah.
Source one of yours
100%. Let's do
line
that.
up.
Next retreat.
100%. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Nice one.
Honestly, appreciate it. Troops, if you're on YouTube, also got episodes rolling out fortnightly at the moment. Looking at 2026, moving to weekly, so be plenty of episodes coming. If you're on Spotify, make sure you follow as well. Also, Rebrand is now out. We're bringing on incredible guests who have uncommon journeys that are doing uncommon things. So make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, and have a wonderful day.